Ah, here is something I have not seen in many a long year. And elf in Imladris I do not know. Welcome, friend. I am Andriel.
Greetings, lady. I am Legolas, son of King Thranduil of the Woodland Realm in Mirkwood.
Tell me about Mirkwood.
Mirkwood is the greatest woodland in all of Middle-earth. It was called Greenwood the Great, before the shadow of Sauron fell over it. In ages past, it was a place of great beauty. But now, it is filled with darkness and dread, save only in the north where my father's realm is maintained.
What brought you on such a long and perilous journey?
Unpleasant business. My father sent me to report the escape of Gollum, a creature Aragorn had entrusted to our care.
What can you tell me about this Gollum?
A pathetic creature who long held the Ring of Power. The evil of the ring has left him twisted and tormented. His only thought is to recover what was taken from him.
How did Gollum escape your guard?
Not from a lack of watchfulness, but perhaps from too much kindness. We occasionally allowed Gollum to go about the wood under close guard. But on one of these ventures, the guards were attacked by orcs from Dol Guldur. In the confusion, Gollum escaped. We followed his tracks southward for many leagues, until it drew near to Dol Guldur. There, it became too dangerous to pursue him any further.
What is this place, Dol Guldur?
A stronghold of the enemy in the south of Mirkwood. It was once the dwelling of the Dark Lord, until he was driven out in the year of the Dragon's Fall. But it has once again become a place of great evil. All the darkness that besets Mirkwood has its source in Dol Guldur.
Will you be departing for your home soon?
No. I have been chosen to represent Elvenkind among the Company of the Ring. I will be accompanying the halfling, Frodo Baggins, on his journey south.
I wonder why it is that with so many elves in his own household to consider, Elrond chose to make you a member of the Fellowship.
I asked for the privilege, and Elrond did not refuse me. I feel he may have been relieved not to lose any of his household to this quest. He will have need of all his strength, should the enemy move against Imladris.
I am curious why you would volunteer for this.
Partially to make amends for the loss of Gollum, but more so because this will be the final chapter in our long struggle against the darkness. And I wish to have a hand in our final victory. Or at least, to stand in the forefront of our last act of defiance.
May Elbereth guide you in the days ahead, Legolas.
And you as well, Andriel. A pleasure to see you again, Lady Andriel.
Tell me about Mirkwood.
Mirkwood is the... In ages past, it was a place...
I should go.
Andriel, I thought I might see you ere long. Imladris is filled with tales of your exploits. I believe Lindir has even begun a song about them. But while battles can build a heroic reputation, they also break down equipment. You have need of my services.
What task is before you now, Angmir?
My fellow smiths and I are preparing for a great work. Soon we will be called upon to reforge the legendary sword Narsil. In the meantime, I've been sharpening my skills by practicing the art of imbuing gemstones.
What can you tell me of this sword, Narsil?
Narsil was the sword of Elendil, a mighty lord of the Dunedain who defied the Dark Lord in the War of the Lost Alliance. He bore the sword in battle against Sauron, but he was slain and the sword was broken. Since that time, the shards of the sword have been an heirloom of the House of Elendil. It was to remain broken until the day when an heir of Elendil would go to war to reclaim the crown and title of king. That day will come soon, and the sword must be made whole once again.
By imbuing, you mean the process of binding powers and virtues to an object?
Yes, clearly you have a good understanding of this art. As you know, gemstones are very strong vessels for this process. Sadly, appropriate gemstones have become difficult to find. The growing trouble throughout the land keeps travelers away, and our own people are staying closer to home.
Perhaps I can help you with that. I will be traveling soon.
I would be pleased to have your help. I will provide you with a list of the types of gemstones that are of the greatest value to me. If you collect the stones, I am certain I could create something that you would find useful. But to be of use, the gemstones must be of the highest quality. Fortunately, we have as a guest a dwarf of the Lonely Mountain. Glóin is his name, and he is skilled in the appraisal of gems of all sorts. Once you have gathered the stones, allow him to examine them. He'll know if they are suitable.
I have discovered some interesting relics of the Dunedain, Angmar. Perhaps you can help me with them.
Ah, these are work of Westernese, the lost land of Numenor. The men who forged these items were skilled indeed. You have the makings of a unique weapon here. Although these components were never part of a single work, I believe you have assembled everything I would need to make it so. The finished weapon would undoubtedly carry some elven qualities.
What do you mean by that?
Only that with a work such as this, the finished product is liable to reflect the nature of the smith who assembles it. If, for example, a dwarven smith were to complete this weapon, it might possess quite different qualities from the weapon I would create.
It seems fitting that an elven smith should do this task for me.
Very good. I will get started at once. There, it is finished. May this serve you well, my friend. How can I assist you?
I must be going, Angmar.
Ah, Andriel. It is good of you to seek me out. Though I did not say so before, I am most impressed by your skills as a lawmaster, and by the courage you and your companions have shown.
The Dunedain kingdom of Arnor fell long ago. There is nothing left in much of the north save ruins. Why would Sauron build a force here?
Sauron seeks dominion over all of Middle-earth. His desire is to order all things as he sees fit. Even were these lands empty from here to the sea, still he would seek to control them. There is power in Rivendell that could stand against him when all others fall. For a time. And this is something Sauron cannot allow.
The Dunedain kingdom.
Sauron seeks there is power.
When we first arrived, you said you recently passed through the Etten Walls. Is there more you can tell me?
It is a rough and empty land, home to many trolls. I passed through with great haste, for I needed to reach Rivendell as quickly as I could.
And yet you saw no sign of trolls?
I saw neither trolls nor fresh signs of them, and that disturbs me more than encountering one. I doubt they've all packed up and left. Mindless brute creatures they may be, yet they can be used and driven to even greater wickedness by a strong enough hand. Agendaur could well be forming them into an army.
You believe he is mustering the trolls for an attack?
That is my fear. I would gladly be proven wrong, but my heart misgives me that somewhere in the Etten Moors, you will find them gathering and being prepared for war. We must know. Such a force could be sent against Rivendell, perhaps in hopes of capturing the ring.
I will gather my friends and set out for the moors. We will see what we can learn.
What would you ask of me now, Andriel?
Of all those now threatened by the enemy, the Shire folk are the least able to defend themselves. Perhaps I am needed there.
I believe Elrond has made his wishes clear, Andriel. He knows you are needed urgently elsewhere. With the flight of the ring in this direction, the enemy is looking this way, and has forgotten the Shire for now. For now. But eventually his eye will turn once again toward the Shire, as humble as it is. Hobbits as miserable slaves would please him far more than hobbits happy and free. And there is such a thing as malice and revenge. Sauron will leave the final devastation of the Shire to his servant Agendaur. And that is yet another reason why you must find him and put an end to his designs. In opposing Agendaur, you are defending the Shire.
You may have heard that Bellerom aided us at Fornost. Surely we could call upon the Eagles to aid in the matter of the ring.
I don't fault you for thinking along those lines. Why not beg a ride from an eagle, fly far out to the west, and drop the ring into the deepest part of the sea? Such ideas were debated at Elrond's council. But there are many things in the deep waters, and seas and lands may change. We cannot think of our time alone. We must destroy this thing forever.
Frodo weighs little. Mount him on an eagle and send them straight away to Mount Doom.
Indeed. So simple as that. You think so mighty a creature as one of the great eagles could simply waft into Mordor and escape the eye that never sleeps? No. Not all the eagles of the Misty Mountains could stand against Sauron and the full power of his ringwraiths. It would be folly. Nor, for that matter, do the great eagles take orders from us.
Your pardon, Mithrandir. Of course the wise would have spoken of such things. I merely hoped there would be a better way than sending Frodo to the fire.
You have a good heart, and I wish it could be so. We debated many such notions. I had even given thought to dragons. There was a time when dragon fire could destroy a ring of power. But even if the mightiest of the dragons of old, and Calagon the Black, were alive today, his fire would not be enough to consume the One Ring, Sauron's ring. No, there is no other way. Frodo must go to Mount Doom, and you have a foe of your own you must contend with, Agendaur, and there is no telling what allies and powers he is gathering.
Agendaur struck me as being older than he appeared. Have you ever encountered him?
Though I know nothing of Agendaur himself, I have seen his kind at other times in distant lands. He is likely a black Númenorian, and a master of dark sorceries.
It was long ago, even before my birth, when those distant kin of the Dunedain fell into evil. If he comes of that bloodline, he is even more dangerous than I had imagined.
Who can say what promises Sauron has made to him? Perhaps even a ring of his own. At the very least, Agendaur expects to rule all of the North. He would be a cruel tyrant. The elves he will seek to utterly destroy. Hobbits, men, dwarves, any that survive, will be enslaved. And he will raise an iron kingdom in the North, in mockery of the ancient glory of Arnor. This is his dark dream. It must never come to pass.
I have much to do. Namarie, Mithrandir.
Andriel, I'm glad you are here. I hoped I would have the opportunity to speak with you privately before you left for the Ettenmoors. I wish to tell you how proud I am of what you accomplished at Fornost. You have brought great honor to our household. Indeed, all of Imladris is singing your praises.
but I do not believe you have come merely to hear my thanks. Do you have questions for me?
I discovered this scroll at Fornost. It is tainted with evil, yet I thought it best you should see it.
A wise decision. This is writ in the black speech of Mordor, a language I will not utter here. It is intended to instruct the reader in the use of dark sorceries.
As repellent as these powers may be, could we not gain some advantage by making use of them ourselves?
Consider carefully what you are saying, Andriel. Have I not taught you why such a course would be the path of folly? This, like all works of the enemy, is altogether evil. Any who make use of this, even from a desire to do good, will only be corrupted by it. Surely the ring has taught us that much.
What can you tell me of the Black Speech?
A language devised by Sauron when he desired a single tongue to be spoken by all who serve him. He had small luck introducing it to the scattered tribes of orcs and trolls, but it is still used by his highest-ranking servants.
Then it is good we captured this from the enemy before it could cause further harm. What will become of it?
I will destroy this scroll at the very least. But wait, here I discover more. Listen to what is written herein. Scribed by the hand of Agandaur, disciple of the great Lord Sauron, for the empowerment of his servant Wulfrun and those others of his faithful who prove worthy. I will speak no more of these blasphemies, but it does say that this scroll is one of 7 such works.
Seven at one time, perhaps. But Agandaur may well have created many more such scrolls since this writing.
Perhaps, but creating something of this nature is not a matter of simple scribing. Considerable preparation and effort is involved. We have reason to hope there are no more than 7.
So 6 more remain. Perhaps we might capture them as well.
That would be a great service to our cause. Should you recover them all, bring them to me, and I will ensure they are destroyed.
Would it not be better to destroy any I find immediately?
You will find that works of this sort are not so easily destroyed. There are strong wards placed upon them that protect them from mundane harm. But I have the necessary skill to remove these wards. Should you gather the remaining scrolls, bring them to me, and I will see them destroyed.
I will be certain to do so.
In the meantime, please accept this in appreciation for bringing this matter to my attention. Perhaps it will be of service to you in your travels.
There is something else. I discovered this tome hidden amid the ruins of Fornost.
Ah, now this is writing of an altogether more wholesome sort. This was not made by any minion of Sauron, but rather by the men of Arthedain, likely before the fall of Fornost.
It is many a long year since Fornost fell into ruin.
It is more than 1,000 years since the Witch King of Angmar conquered Fornost and brought about the end of the Dunedain kingdom of Arthedain. What a grim day it was.
Tell me about this realm of Arthedain.
Arthedain was the last fragment of the great northern kingdom of Arnor. The heirs of Isildur ruled as kings of Arthedain until it too was destroyed by the enemy.
Arthedain fell, but the line of kings was not extinguished.
It is true Isildur's line has remained unbroken, but without a kingdom to rule, they have not claimed the title of king and have been known simply as chieftains of the Dunedain. It is our friend Aragorn who currently bears that title, although he will be the last to do so. Either he will become a king, or Isildur's line will come to an end with him.
Perhaps this tome is a record of those days long past. It appears to use the Elvish characters as was common with those folk, but I can make little of it at a quick glance. Perhaps you can discover more.
Indeed. It seems to be a personal journal. And here is a name inscribed. M.A.L. Why, this appears to be a work of Malbeth, the seer of Arthedain.
Malbeth? Was he not a visionary of some sort?
Many of the Dunedain race are gifted with foresight, but none more than Malbeth. He predicted the final destruction of the kingdom of Arthedain, which befell exactly as he had foretold. I will examine this work carefully. Who knows what other visions are here recorded? It may be that we will find something of value to us in this time of trouble. You did well in bringing this to me. Take this in way of thanks.
Is there anything more you can tell me about this mission to the Etenmoors?
Only that the Etenmoors are a dangerous place at the best of times. The danger will be that much greater if the orcs and trolls are being organized by an outside force. You and your friends will need to have your wits about you.
Who could raise such a muster?
Agendaur would be my first guess, but it could also be a strong orc chieftain, or perhaps an unusually cunning troll. At worst, one or more of the Nazgul may have made their way there, if any of their mounts survived the flood we unleashed upon them.
Whatever may be happening there, you will know of it. Farewell, Master Elrond.
Greetings.
Is there anything more?
Only that the Etenmoors are a dangerous...
And if we should indeed find the enemy gathering in force, what are we to do then?
You will have to determine your best course of action. But when dealing with the foul folk, it is always wise to eliminate any strong leader you may find. For without someone who can enforce discipline, they will often fall to fighting amongst themselves. If the enemy is mustering in the Etenmoors, try to recover any clues that may help us determine who is behind it and where they may be found.
It shall be as you say. Farewell, Master Elrond.
Greetings, Andriel. I am glad for the chance to speak with an old friend. Need keeps me away from Imladris, but my thoughts are often with those who dwell here.
I would like to know more about those chosen to be part of your fellowship.
Who is it that interests you?
What of Mithrandir, of Gandalf? The two of you are great friends. Can you tell me something of him?
To know all there is to know of Gandalf would require a lifetime study. There is much about him that remains a mystery, even to me. Yet he is a relentless foe of Sauron, and without his vigilance, the ring would already be in the hands of the enemy. His wisdom and leadership will be of great value to the Fellowship.
You go now to claim your rightful place as the King of Gondor.
Above all, I go to help Frodo fulfill his quest. For unless the ring is destroyed, Gondor will soon fall, king or no king.
Good luck to you.
Greetings, Andriel. I am glad for the chance to speak with an old friend. Need keeps me...
I would like to know...
Who is it that interests you?
What of this man of Gondor, this Boromir?
Boromir is the son of Denethor, the steward of Gondor. I had never met him before Elrond's council, but long years ago, under another name, I served his grandfather Ecthelion. The men of Gondor are valiant and strong, and by all accounts Boromir is foremost among them in courage and skill at arms. I suspect we will have need of his sword before our quest is through.
One elf at least goes with you on your quest. Tell me about Legolas.
It is fitting that we have a representative of the Eldar along with us. Your people have been foes of Sauron since before my ancestors returned to the shores of Middle-earth. The Elves of Mirkwood are constantly called upon to protect their realm from the many enemies that infest that wood. They are skilled warriors and unmatched archers.
What can you tell me of the dwarf, Gimli?
I have spent little time among dwarves, but Gimli is one of Durin's folk, and the dwarves of that line are trusted by Elrond, in spite of the differences that sometimes divide elves and dwarves. If Gimli is like most of his kin, he will prove loyal and stout-hearted, enduring in hardship and fierce in battle.
What of these other hobbits? Is it wise to send so many of the little folk on this quest?
We are asking much of Frodo. Until recently, he had never set foot outside the confines of the Shire. It will be a comfort for him to have the familiar companionship of his friends and kin, in the face of so much that will be new and frightening. I have traveled with these hobbits, and they proved far more courageous and hardy than many would suspect.
Until we meet again.
Greetings, Andriel. I am glad for the chance to speak with an old friend.
I gather you had never heard of Agandaur until these recent events.
I had never heard nor dealt with Agandaur specifically, but I know his kind. Years ago I served in disguise in the armies of Gondor, where I contended with the corsairs of Umbar, who were often led by those akin to Agandaur. These black Númenóreans are a corrupt and wicked race. They worship Sauron as a god and seek the utter destruction of all who oppose him.
You have traveled a great deal. Is there anything you can tell me of the Etenwalls?
Only that it is a dangerous and unforgiving place. My own grandfather Alador was slain by trolls in the Etten Wars. It is important we learn if the enemy is active in the moors, but we do not send you there lightly. Be on your guard at all times while you venture there.
Until we meet again.
Greetings, Andriel.
It does not seem so very long ago that you dwelt here with us. But you have done and seen much since that time. You have grown, Estelle.
Indeed. I am no longer the shoeless boy you once taught to make flutes from river reeds.
So you remember that day?
Of course. I remember being amazed by your wisdom and skill, and thinking such knowledge must be why they named you a lore master.
There are great joys to be had from our friendship with the Dunedain. But there are sorrows as well.
Yes. Much like a man with a beloved dog is grieved by the knowledge that he will outlive his companion.
You should not make sport of me. It is not like that at all. For when I look at you, I also see your father Arathorn, and your grandfather Eredor, and all those who came before you whom I've known.
I envy you in that, for I never knew my father. Truthfully, I often feel like the lesser son of great sires.
This is not true. Elrond himself has said that he sees more of your revered ancestor Elendil in you than in any of those he has known over the ages that lie between you. There is a high doom upon you, Aragorn, son of Arathorn. I perceive that you will do great things.
We will soon know if you perceive correctly, Andrea. For the One Ring has been found, and I must go to war. A war from which I shall return a king, or not at all.
The shards of Narsil, sword of Elendil. Soon it shall be remade, and Aragorn will bear it to war.
The sun shines and all is fair and peaceful here in Madras. A far cry from the blood and dust of Fornost, is it not? The valor you showed there brings honor to all our folk. I'm only sorry you will have so little time here at home before setting out once more.
How was it you happened to be at Fornost?
You know how bitter is our hatred for the orcs since our mother's ordeal. We often ride far afield hunting them. We came upon signs of a large band of goblins making their way from the orc hold of Mount Gram and followed their trail to Fornost, where we lost no time in attacking them.
How fares your sister, the Lady Arwen?
She is well, although weighed down with care. It is hard for her to be so soon parted from Aragorn, her beloved, but such is their fate.
I trust I can speak to the usual stewards concerning preparations for my journey.
Ilari will help you with any goods and provisions you may require, while Angmir will gladly tend to your arms and armor. Both of them may be found nearby.
Farewell, friends. May good fortune accompany you.
The sun shines, a far cry from... I'm only sorry you will have so little time here at home before setting out once more.
How was it you happened to be at...
You know how bitter is our... We came upon signs of... where we lost no time in attack.
Your mother is so rarely spoken of here. Will you tell me more of her?
As you know, she has crossed the sea and departed Middle-earth. It is a bitter tale to tell. Many years past, on a journey across the misty mountains, our mother was captured by orcs. We searched the mountains without rest until we found her at last. Our father was able to heal her injuries, but the memory of her torment was too terrible for her to bear. At last she chose to depart for the Undying Lands. Perhaps now you understand why our hatred for the orcs is so great.
A sorrowful tale. I am sorry to have reminded you.
No, my friend. We have known you too long to keep anything hidden from you. This is the evil that we have pledged our lives to destroy, just as you have.
I must prepare...
The sun shone, a far cry from... I'm only sorry...
It would be pleasant to remain at ease for a time, yet I have promised to search the Ettenmoors for signs of the enemy. What of you? I know you both too well to believe you will sit idle for long.
No, indeed. We are to set off at once on a similar mission to your own. Only we will travel south, seeking for signs of the Nazgul or other threats. Aragorn will accompany us at least part of the way.
Aragorn goes with you? I understood he was to be part of the fellowship that accompanies the Ringbearer.
And so he is. But Frodo needs time to recover from his ordeal. And in the meantime, we will scout the road that lies before him for possible threats. Aragorn's skill as a tracker is unmatched. We will have need of his talents in our search.
Aragorn is a frequent companion in your forays against the enemy, is he not?
Yes, we often venture forth in company with the Dunedain, and none more frequently than Aragorn. He was raised here in our household, after all.
I must prepare for my... It is long since so many dwarves have graced the halls of Imladris. Who might you be?
Gimli, son of Glóin, at your service. I've heard your name spoken with great praise. That was fine work you did at Fornost. Not bad at all for one of Thranduil's folk, who are more accustomed to stealth in the forest than open battle. But after all, you had the help of my kinsman Farin. I heard he played a valiant part.
And so he did. But your wits fail you, Gimli, son of Glóin, if you cannot tell a wood elf from a member of Elrond's house.
Ah, well, no offense meant, but there are Mirkwood elves about in the halls, and they are the kind most familiar to me, being our neighbors and allies. Any elf of Elrond's house is a friend of mine and my kin. I am honored to be a guest here amongst the wise.
Farin spoke no word of more kin following him. What brings you such a distance to Imladris?
Aye, it's a long march from the halls of Erebor, but grim news goes on swift feet. It was for Bilbo's sake we came, with a warning that the servants of Sauron wished to find him and his ring. Thrice a Black Rider came to the front gate of Erebor, demanding news of Bilbo, and threatens to return once more. Ere that should happen, King Dain sent my father, Glóin, to seek the advice of Elrond. You've heard the results of the council? I see you have. I have sworn to protect Frodo upon his quest, an oath I will fulfill though all the orcs of Middle-earth stand in my way.
When you speak of a Black Rider, my mind is filled with the horror of the Nazgul. Was it such a fell messenger that came to your door?
Not one of the Nazgul, I think, but it was a fell servant all the same, who spoke in a voice like the hissing of snakes. What sort of man can serve the enemy willingly, even gladly, is beyond my understanding. More cruel than any orc he struck me, full of venom and lies.
You could well be describing Agandar, for he is such a servant.
Could it be so? Perhaps. It is enough that we will not be deceived by promises from Mordor ever again. The only way the Dark Lord gets his ring back this time is when it's tossed into the fires of Mount Doom.
Elrond has tasked us with a mission to scout the Etten walls. But what is it that worries you about the north?
I like not what I've heard of this Agandar you drove from Fornost. He could yet cause grief untold. There are rumors of gatherings of orcs, goblins, and other deadly foes growing in strength. When the Dark Lord strikes, there will be more than one land that feels his wrath. I fear for the Shire and Rivendell. It would ease my heart to know that you'll look to the defense of the North for as long as you're needed. With help from Faran, of course.
Whatever Aradan and I, and the most esteemed Faran can do, we shall do. You have my promise.
Well met again. I wish the scouts would hurry about their business. If we wait much longer, we'll have the snows of winter to hamper us.
When you speak...
Not one of the Naz... What sort of man?
You could well be...
Could it be so? Perhaps. It is enough that we would...
When do you depart for the south?
Not soon enough for my liking. Elrond is sending scouts many leagues in all directions, and we will wait for their news. They search for signs of any Nazgul that may have survived the flooding of the river. And there are other threats besides, as you well know. My heart forebodes that the north is not safe.
I have heard much about Erebor from Bilbo. Were you there at the downfall of Smaug?
Sadly, no. I was far to the west in the Blue Mountains where I was born, for my father deemed me too young to join him on Thorin's quest. But once the dragon was destroyed, I hurried with many of my kin to settle there. I've labored some 70 years to restore what was lost and helped build anew the city of Dale from the ruins of the Dragonfire. I've seen the bones of Smaug upon the lake bottom where he fell. Did you know that Bilbo exchanged riddles with the dragon? Now that's a tale he should tell you. We owe much to that fine old hobbit.
What do you know of Frodo?
I know only that he is Bilbo's adopted heir, and that he is chosen of his own free will to bear and destroy the ring. That's all I need to know. I'll protect him to my final breath if need be.
I must attend to my mission. May the stars shine upon your path.
Farewell, and may you kill many orcs. Keep account, and we'll compare numbers when I return.
Nothing calls to my heart like this, my home. Unless, perhaps, the sea.
Hello, you are Andriel, aren't you? I was hoping I would get a chance to speak with you.
And you are Frodo Baggins. Aragorn and Gandalf have told me about you, and your burden.
Likewise, they have told me all about you. I wanted to thank you and your friends for all you did to keep us safe on our journey to Rivendell.
Will you tell me about your journey here? Clearly it was not an easy one.
We had trouble almost from the start. The Black Riders were always just behind us, and we nearly met disaster in the Burrow Downs, at Bree, and again at Weathertop.
You passed through the Barrow Downs? I know what you faced there. You are fortunate indeed to have escaped. That is no place to wander.
You seem to know a great deal about the Barrow Downs already. I'd prefer not to speak about what we found there. It is too horrible to dwell on, even here in the safety of Rivendell.
What befell you in Bree? We must have just missed crossing paths there.
There were spies in Bree, and our room was attacked in the night. If Strider hadn't convinced us to sleep elsewhere, our journey would have ended then and there.
I am familiar with the ruin known as Weathertop. What happened there?
We were attacked by 5 of the Black Riders. I was foolish, and I put on the ring. One of them wounded me before Aragorn managed to drive them away. The knife that was used against me left a shard in the wound. From what Gandalf has told me, the fragment was working its way inward. If it had reached my heart, I would have become a wraith under the power of the Black Riders. Fortunately, we were able to reach Rivendell in time for Elrond's healing arts to save me.
It is a little thing, this ring, but filled with mischief. Will you show it to me?
No, I mean, I'm sorry, but Gandalf and Elrond have warned me against revealing the ring to anyone, even proven friends. I hope you understand.
Yes, I believe I do begin to understand. It was wrong of me to ask. I beg your pardon.
There is nothing to forgive. But the ring, it has a strange effect on everyone around it. It is better for it to remain hidden.
It is indeed a heavy burden you bear, Frodo. May you find strength and wisdom on the long road ahead. Farewell.
Hello again. This stay in Rivendell has done wonders for me. I almost feel like my old self.
I will leave you to
Andriel, welcome home. It is good to have you back. I have already heard tales of your exploits. All of Imladris is proud of what you have done. Oh, but I forget my duties as steward. You have been through many bitter battles. Are you in need of new arms or equipment?
It is good to be home once again, Ilari. How fares Imladris in my absence?
Less serene than usual, I fear. The servants of the enemy came almost to our very doors in pursuit of the hobbit Frodo Baggins, but he was saved by the valor of Aragorn and the arts of the Lord Elrond. But you know more of this than I.
And Frodo, he came through all this peril in safety?
He was gravely injured by one of the evil weapons of the enemy. It was thought that he would not survive, but Elrond's skill as a healer is unsurpassed. He saved his life, much to the relief of Bilbo.
So Frodo is dear to Bilbo?
Oh yes, he is his nephew and heir. Bilbo hardly left his side during the long days that Elrond tended him.
Were the Nazgul that pursued Frodo destroyed?
I do not know, but my heart tells me they were not. Elrond will be sending out many scouts to learn what they may of the fate of the Nazgul and the movements of the enemy. I have been told to prepare supplies for them.
Well met, friend. It's an honor to make the acquaintance of one of Farin's valiant companions. I'm Glóin, son of Glowin from the Lonely Mountain.
And one of Bilbo's companions in the quest to slay the dragon Smaug. I remember seeing you when Thorin Oakenshield's company stayed with us here in Rivendell. I am Andriel, a lawmaster of Elrond's house.
I heard about that business at Sarn Ford, and they say the three of you brought down an orc chieftain at Fornost. I expect I'll be hearing of even greater deeds before long. It does my heart good to see a dwarf, an elf, and a man working together again. Reminds me of the old days, it does, when the three kindred fought alongside one another in the Battle of the Five Armies.
We must not forget the Great Eagles. They have been a great help to us, just as they were to you and your companions.
Well spoken. Thorin's quest and the Battle of Five Armies would have met disaster without the help of the Eagles. You're fortunate to have gained the friendship of such noble creatures. Your life may well depend upon your choice of friends, whatever kindred they be.
Then you approve of my alliance with Farin?
I will speak plainly. I may be less than fond of King Thranduil's wood elves for keeping me in their dungeons, but I've no grudge with any of Elrond's folk.
I have heard when a dwarf bears a grudge, it is set in stone. But I believe this grudge against the wood elves should have been put aside long ago.
You're right, of course. I can be a stiff-necked old dwarf, but it's time to set aside grievances that were long ago repaid. When dwarves, men, and elves fought together at Erebor, we overcame legions of foes. But we face a far more terrible enemy in the Dark Lord. Standing together against Agandaur may be more than just a good idea. It may be our only hope to save the North.
Sauron's attention will be focused largely on the south. If we thwart his plans here, he will be distracted. That could prove a benefit to the Ringbearer.
That's my thoughts upon the matter, too. Be the stinging fly in the ointment, as it were. Only this fly's sting will be deadly. And it's time to be about your business. Goodbye, and good luck to you. Oh, hello again. Don't mind me. Speaking with you got me dreaming of the old days. Dwarves, elves, and men fighting against orcs and...
What need could have driven you from distant Erebor to Imladris?
I came at the bidding of my lord, King Dane. My son Gimli and a few companions came with me, for all paths grow dangerous under the spread of the shadow. With the enemy seeking news of Bilbo, Dane thought we should come to Elrond for counsel. I never imagined what I'd learn when we got here, but it may be wise to say no more.
Elrond confided in us that Frodo bears the One Ring.
Alas, that we should live in such times. Well, Frodo knows what he must do. If I were younger, I'd go with him. But we must each serve where we are most needed, even as you must, with such friends as you trust.
And where do you think I could be of the most service?
That's plain as the beard on my face. It's right here, of course. You've uncovered a deadly enemy in this Agandaur. As long as he's free to carry out Sauron's will, he'll gather more orcs, goblins, and trolls to his banner. Rivendell, the Shire, the Brelons, no place will be safe from his wrath. He must be stopped.
I must prepare for travel. Farewell, Glowin.
Hello there, Andriel. It's good to see you back safe and sound. I've heard all about what you and your friends did to help my Frodo and the Dunedain reach Rivendell safely. Oh, you'll have to tell me all about it one of these days so I can write it all down properly.
I am glad Frodo made it here safely. He is your heir, yet he is not your son?
Oh no, he's not my son. Actually, he's my first cousin once removed. And also my second cousin once removed. Well, it's complicated, but we share a great-grandfather. The poor lad was orphaned at an early age, and so I adopted him. Made him my heir, all nice and legal, while simultaneously dashing the greedy hopes of my odious relations, the Sackville Baggins. He's a good lad, Frodo. I only wish he hadn't inherited my troubles along with my estate. I hope that Gandalf and the Dunedain will keep him safe in the days ahead.
The Dunedain? You speak of Aragorn?
Yes, indeed. I have called him that since the day he first told me about his heritage. A remarkable man, Aragorn, and a good friend. I almost wish that I could accompany him on his grand quest, but I'm far too old for adventures now. I only hope I will be spared long enough to write it all down.
I am glad Frodo made it here safely.
Oh no, he's not my... The poor lad was orphaned at a... He's a good lad, Frodo. I only wish...
Can you tell me how Frodo came to be in possession of the Ring of Power?
Well, yes, that was through me, I'm afraid. I found the ring by happenstance while lost beneath the roots of the Misty Mountains. I won it. That is to say, I took it from the creature Gollum. Of course, I did not know the full story of the ring until only a few days ago. I thought it was merely a magical bauble with the power to make the wearer invisible. I only used it to avoid unwelcome visitors. Imagine that old ring of mine causing such a fuss. I would gladly take charge of it again if that would help. Oh, yes. Gladly. Yes. You know, I think it would be best if we discussed something else.
So you have been keeping up with your writing. What is it you are working on now?
Oh, a little of this and a little of that. History, my past adventures, family trees. I've even begun a book of translations from the Elvish. Although lately I've been working on poetry mostly. Say, maybe you could help me with that. I'm writing a poem for Aragorn, and I'm a bit stuck on a line or two.
Is that so? Well then, let me hear what you have.
Very well, very well. The verse that's giving me trouble runs like this. The light from the west is rekindled. Forth from Imladris it springs. Renewed is the hope that has dwindled.
The light from the west is rekindled, forth from Imladris it springs. Renewed is the hope that is dwindled. The scion of Westernese kings.
Why, yes, yes, that's just the thing, isn't it? Oh, my friend, you should consider exchanging those weapons of yours for the poet's pen.
I hope the day will come again when we concern ourselves solely with music and poetry. But I fear that day is still far off.
Oh, I'm afraid you're right, but since these old hands are not much use with a sword, I'll just keep on with the pen. Though I'll need some help. Perhaps you could show this to the Lady Arwen. She has her people's gift with words, and this touches her deeply after all.
Arwen? Do you really think this is something we should trouble the daughter of Elrond with?
Oh, you are too formal, my friend. Why, I'll have you know that the Lady Arwen has frequently helped me with my poetry, and she is one of the best sources of elven history. Her rendition of the tale of Beren and Luthien is especially moving.
I will take it to her.
Ah, thanks very much. Be sure to give her my compliments, won't you?
Happily. Farewell for now, Bilbo.
Andreal, my Govanen, it is good to see you safely returned. I am told you passed through many dangers to bring us warning of a new threat facing these lands. Estelle speaks highly of you, and my brothers praised the courage you showed at Bornost. I thank you for the part you played in their safe return as well. Rest now a while in the peace of Imladris. It is long since we sat and spoke of herb lore and other gentle arts.
It is a matter of the gentle arts that I bring to you. I have been speaking with Bilbo.
Say no more. I thought our people had a passion for poetry, but this hobbit may yet put us to shame.
Bilbo seems most unusual for a hobbit.
Perhaps we know less of hobbits than we think. They have a strength within that is far greater than their stature. Though I have only just met Frodo, I see the same qualities in him. Bilbo resisted the evil of the ring longer than many we would have called strong. It sustained him, so that now he is very old amongst his kind. But it did not stain him, and it has not lessened his love of poetry and song. Dear old Bilbo. I do believe there is nothing he loves more, except a good meal. In that, he remains a true hobbit.
I have a poem of his here. He asks for your opinion and advice, for he says the subject is a matter very close to your heart.
Then I would guess it is another poem in honor of Estelle. Leave it with me, Andreal. I will give it some thought and answer him myself.
Bilbo will be pleased, I am sure. I would that I had more time for such arts, but Elrond is in need of my skills, and I fear I must leave for the Ettenmoors as soon as may be.
Then I will not keep you, but perhaps we may be of service to one another. Your journey may solve a problem that has perplexed me. I am helping my father create a quantity of Miraval, and we may fall short of certain rare ingredients which can be found in the Ettenmoors.
In all my years at Imladris, only once have I tasted the fragrant cordial Miraval. I remember how it renewed my heart and gave me fresh strength.
Yes, it is difficult to create and therefore precious. If I gave you a list of the ingredients, perhaps you could bring them back from the Ettenmoors. I will set aside a flask for your own use when we have brewed it.
If I may be so bold, why is it that you prefer to use Estelle instead of Aragorn? His true name has long been known to you.
It is true that when first we met, he gave me his Dunedain name and lineage. Yet for the first 20 years of his life, he was known as Estelle, for he is the hope of his people. And hope, Estelle, he remains to me. In this war, Aragorn's fate is entwined with mine, to share his life and accept the doom of men. If our hope fails, the shadow will fall across Middle-earth and leave only ruin. Always he is in my thoughts. Even from afar, I watch over him and keep hope alive in my heart.
I have not heard how you met, if you would speak of it.
I had been living with my mother's kin in Lothlorien for many years, and had only recently returned to Imladris to visit my father. Estelle saw me at twilight as I walked in a grove of birch. Even then, in his youth, he struck me as more than other mortal men. 29 years passed, and I dwelt once again in Lothlorien when he came there, returning from perils on the very borders of Mordor. He had undergone many trials and hardships, yet he seemed as fair as an elf lord when I beheld him walking beneath the golden boughs of the malorn trees. We pledged our troth there, upon the hill of Cairn Amroth, where I said to him, "Dark is the shadow, and yet my heart rejoices, for you, Estelle, shall be among the great whose valor will destroy it."
Then it is as I heard. You have made the choice of the half-elven, choosing to become mortal because of your love for Aragorn.
That is the gift given to my father's line, to remain of elven kind and live forever in the undying lands beyond the great sea, or to accept a mortal life, both the sweet and the bitter.
You are guided by your heart, so you have made the correct choice. however painful it may prove for yourself, and for the others who love you.
In many ways, it does seem a choice between two separate sorrows. Even should Imladris endure this war, Elrond will depart. When he leaves, we will be parted beyond the end of the world. It is the price I must pay to bring love and hope to Estelle and the race of men.
I believe you said something about Miraval.
I am helping my father create a
In all my years at Imladris, only once have I tasted the fragrant cordial Miraval.
Yes, it is difficult to create and therefore
You are generous, lady. I will seek them out for you and return with them once my mission is completed.
My Govanen, Andriel. It is good of you to visit me again. My thoughts stray often to Estelle and my brothers, but also to you and your companions. I continue to brew Miraval, but I am concerned about our dwindling stocks. We still have need of those ingredients I spoke of before.
Are the Ettenmoors the only place where I might find them?
There is nowhere else they may be found without a journey of many months. For these rare ingredients, I am afraid you will need to search the Ettenmoors, but do so only if it does not risk your safety. You are more important to us than even a flask of Miraval.
I shall do my best.
Oh, my messenger! I have wonderful news. Rowley and I are to be wed in spring. Didn't I tell you my father would come round in the end?
All happiness to you both. Farewell. art or gardens in Bree. I wonder if the towns of men are always so dismal.
Welcome! What can I do for you?
Why, you are one of the little people. The halflings.
Hobbits, if you please. That's what we call ourselves. Perhaps you're surprised to see my kind living outside the Shire. But there were hobbits living in Bree long before there ever was a Shire. And we're still here.
I must be on my...
Welcome!
Do you deal often with my kind?
Not often, sadly. But there are still elves that wander from time to time through the Chetwood nearby. Sometimes I've been fortunate enough to meet with them.
I see. Have you met with any recently?
Why, no, now that you mention it. I guess it's been a few years since last I met an elf. Though sometimes I've had a strong feeling that they were about. Just not seen, if you take my meaning.
I am not surprised that meetings with my kin have become rare. Do you know why this is so?
Folks say that the elves are leaving our shores, heading west and sailing away for other lands. Some around here might be happy to know that was true, but for my part, I hoped it isn't. Yet I imagine you'd know more about that than me.
It is true. Many of my kindred have departed, and many more will soon follow. Yet there are those of us who still love these lands of Middle-earth. We will remain here for many long years to come, if we are able.
Good, good. I hope to see more elves visiting and trading with us. Speaking of which, what can I do for you?
I must be on my way. These people seem to have no notion of the dangers that threaten them.
Thanks to you, I can arm the town should the need arise.
Good to see you again, my friend. You'll be happy to know Idona's father has given us permission to marry. We are to be wed this spring.
May the stars shine upon you both. Farewell, Rowley Appledore.
Good to see you again, my...
Then you found a way to make yourself a more promising match in her father's eyes?
Well, I have been working hard, but I think it had more to do with Idona. He always gives in when his daughter sets her mind on something.
May the stars shine...
Let me see what you have found. Yes, this is indeed Athelas. Now, according to the old law, all I need to do is add these leaves to boiling water. Let Eleron breathe in these fumes.
Silana. And our elven friend as well. How can this be? I thought you were all slain. But no. That was only the dark voices in my dreams. Yet, it was not all a dream, was it?
No, the battle was real enough. We were overmatched, yet you fought bravely.
I tried to do my part, but I'm afraid I was not much use. I remember being scared mostly, and then the darkness fell. I thought it was the end of all things.
Thankfully, Silana had the skill to call you back from the darkness.
Mine was the knowledge, but it was this brave elf who found the herb that saved you, at great personal risk.
Then I owe you my life, friend. Please, let me show my appreciation. My weapons were made in Lost Numenor in the distant past. They've been in my family for generations. I want you and your friends to have them now.
What do you know of Numenor?
Numenor was the land of my ancestors, a great civilization, but it sank beneath the sea thousands of years ago. Only a handful of survivors, led by Elendil, escaped here to Middle-earth.
And who was this Elendil?
A mighty lord of Numenor. It was he who founded the realms of Arnor and Gondor long ago. Our chieftain Aragorn is his heir.
Hush, boy. You forget that we Dunedain still keep our secrets.
Yes, I'm sorry, I grew careless. Forget I spoke. But come, my friend. Will you accept my gifts?
A noble gift, thank you. Rest now and recover your strength. Farewell to you both.
So tired. Must rest.
You must forgive the harsh words I spoke to you before. It is hard for a healer to be so helpless. You have done a great thing in saving the lad's life. That is one, at least, that the darkness will not claim. Thank you.
It took both of us to save his life. Thank you, and farewell.
Lewin has told me of your heroics in the Burrows. I am grateful to you for saving one of my rangers. It is only a pity that it was too late for poor Kalaran.
Another crime the enemy will answer for.
Kalaran dedicated his life to defending others, just as you have. You can best honor his memory by continuing to protect the North from the threat of Agandaur.
I have no other thought but to do just that. Namarie Halbarad.
Welcome back to Sarn Ford, Andriel. It is good to see you again. Even stuck here as we are, we've heard reports of your deeds. You three are earning quite a name for yourselves. I'd find some of those stories hard to believe, save I've seen your prowess firsthand. I'll never forget what you did for me in the Barrow Downs. If I were free to choose my own road, I'd be begging leave to join you on your quest.
Your sword would be most welcome. Why should you not join with us?
I'm sure you know the answer to that as well as I. Duty. We Rangers never shirk from our duty. And for now, that puts me here, watching out for the little folk.
Do you ever begrudge that duty?
What? Watching out for folk who fear me? Or at best think of me as a rascal and a vagabond? Strangely, I do not. Knowing I help make it possible for folk to live their lives without fear, well, that helps me sleep easy at night.
Then I will leave you to your duty. Farewell, Lewin.